Don't let Vegas and the media fool you. Boston College football should be a bowl team in 2024.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. Please check out my work over there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them, but in the summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long, just by visiting FanDuel.com to get yourself started. Today, we're going to look at expectations for the 2024 season. I'll explain why the 5 wins or whatever the media has BC winning is shooting low. I'll explain why on today's show. Secondly, BC basketball lands one of the biggest commitments of all time. I'll explain who that is and why that's a big deal. And finally, there's a new crystal ball in for football that I put in. I'll explain why I put it in, and we'll talk a little bit about that in our final segment. So on today's show, if you've used FanDuel or you've gone to Las Vegas or any other betting platform that you use, you've seen that the over-under for wins for BC this year, I think, is 4.5. And there's been a lot of talk. I saw Brad Crawford at 247 have them at like 3-9 because they're adjusting to a new coach. And yes, Bill O'Brien did start later, but this team is better than what they're putting down on paper. And yes, I know their schedule is tough, but I think what my expectations should be, what I feel BC's realistic expectations for this season is bowl or bust. They need to get at least 6 wins. And there's enough talent on this team. When you have you should have a decent offensive line. You should have good weapons. You have I don't want to say prolific quarterback, but a quarterback that can win you games in Thomas Castellanos. You have a defense that should take a step forward with new coaches that should be able to maximize guys like Donovan Azareku or Cam Arnold or guys that just you're looking, or even Cameron Martinez or Ryan Turner, new transfers that are coming in that haven't reached their potential yet. So it's a tale as old as time. You go back to the Tom O'Brien days, and I'm sure there's people out there that are going to go back, like, yeah, go back into the Dan Henning days and the all the older coaches. But I go back to Tom O'Brien. Hating on BC in the year is a rite of passage. It happens every year. It's part of your summer routine as you get ready for college football. Like I got the Phil Steele book, magazine. I've got my tailgate spot and alumni all set. I have ComAv, and I see all the prognostications of BC being terrible this year. It happens. No matter what the roster is in front of you. BC was a top 25 team for years, and they would never go in preseason top 25. Every year they'd end up being top 25 back in the O'Brien days. Now it's just changed. It's like they've been kind of middling, and so they just make them bad. I look at this team, and there's too much to like for them to be anything less than 6-6. I look at games like Syracuse, as I've said before. I know you guys have been enjoying me kind of dumping all over some of BC's opponents, and believe me, I'll continue. I look at a team like Syracuse, right? Kyle McCord, I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. had to really restrain himself from crapping on him in a post-draft interview because he's not that good. And the media loves him because he got to throw to Marvin Harrison and some really great wide receivers. But Syracuse, they could take a huge step back. I mean, they're not going to take a huge step forward. I just don't see it unless they're playing bad teams. But you play a team like BC, I could see BC winning that. UVA is probably going to be bad. Pitt is probably going to be bad. Michigan State is in the middle of a big rebuild. You have Western Kentucky, Duquesne. You should win those games. The wins are there. The wins are you've got your games that are going to be tough, but a well-coached team with enough talent that they have. With, there may be depth issues, but when you look at the starters, it's solid enough that this team should be 6-6, and that's where the jumping point should be off. Should be anything less than that. I think it'd be a disappointing season. 5-7, I'd be pretty sad about. I think O'Brien's going to, have this team prepared. I look at one thing that killed BC in previous years is strength and conditioning. I mean, they were, as the temperature dove in Chestnut Hill, you were always like, oh, this is great. They're going to have some home games. You're going to bring some Southern teams up, and they're going to wilt. Well, BC was all banged up by that point, and it never really mattered. And they just kind of fell apart at the end of every season because they just ran out of bullets in their chamber. Craig Fitzgerald, from what I hear, is going to make a big difference there. And having your starters in November not all banged up and can play is a huge bonus. There's a reason why the Florida Gators wanted Fitzgerald this offseason. The Gators are a premier program. I know they haven't played that way in a while, but they are a premier program, and they've had him, but he wanted to stay with Bill O'Brien. I've seen the videos. You guys, if you're on social media, you've seen what Fitzgerald is doing. I saw Lewis Bond putting up it looked like 1,000 pounds or something crazy today. Like, these guys are going to get jacked, and hopefully their cardio works well too. But they're going to be in much better shape, I think, at the end of the season, which has been a major problem for the Eagles. So that's another piece. All of these little things, you add them together and you put them under a head coach who is experienced, who knows how to win, and this team should at least win 6 games. I don't think I'm out of left field here saying that. So when I see the 4.5 wins or putting them in last place in the ACC, I kind of write it off, and I understand. I understand this is not a team that's going to be battling for the ACC championship, and nor should they be, right? But they're going to be fine this year. And I've seen a few bowl projections already out. So there's people out there that aren't, you guys are going to say, oh, AJ, you're a BC homer, whatever. There's other national people who agree with me too. So it's not just me, but you're going to get the folks that are always dump on Boston College. And you're going to but there's other folks out there that do kind of see what I think I see, which is a team that should win at least 6 games. Now, in our second segment, we're going to flip the rest of the show to recruiting. And we're going to start with basketball because Earl Grant is building a monster in Chestnut Hill. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to end. But as the playoffs wind down, we got fewer games. And now we're in the All-Star break, we got even fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up my bets anytime I'm in the mood. In this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. I saw on the All-Star game last night that Big Papi David Ortiz, whose son was just drafted by the Red Sox, which is pretty cool, he picked the Red Sox to win the World Series. They're a fun team right now. Are they World Series material? That might be a fun bet. You can get the odds on FanDuel. You can get odds on the games. You can get odds on home run prop bets. They're all there. That one makes the game so much fun to watch. So get over to FanDuel and start making the most out of your summer with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black. Are you guys all listening to Fox Sports and ESPN still? What are you doing? Get out of there. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire and on the free Fire TV app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels apps. So let's get into this. Earl Grant. What's he doing? What's in the water here right now for BC basketball? Because they landed their second commitment of the class of 25 on Tuesday as Akbar Waheed, or I think he goes by Bari, I heard on his Instagram feed as he was live streaming his decision, chose Boston College and committed on Tuesday during his commitment ceremony over the likes of Iowa, Florida State, Xavier, and St. Louis. Why should you be excited about this one? Akbar Waheed is a 4-star recruit and number 129 in the country, according to 247 Sports. That puts him square in the top 10 of all time recruits ever at Boston College. Now, some of the earlier recruiting systems are not as polished as they are now, but this is one of the best commitments BC has landed ever. And shows A, that Earl Grant can really connect, that his assistants are doing a great job. And partially, I'm guessing Steve Smith, the new assistant, was part of this, but also credit to Jim Molinari and Corey. God, I'm totally messing up his last name. Corey McRae, the other assistant head coach, and Adam Walsh, the director of personnel, all did a great job of bringing in one of the best shooting guards in the country. He's 6'5", 170, and I think he had a AAU game just about a month ago where he scored 30 points against other nationally ranked guys. So this is a polished, well sought after recruit that picked Boston College. Now, he talked about why he picked BC, and it was a really interesting interview. His dad was an assistant under Jim Christian from 2010 to 2014. He grew up around this program. DeVito, Tom Devitt, excuse me, the the general manager of Friends of the Heights, was part of that program. He worked for Jim Christian, and he knew the family. And I thought Akbar Waheed had a really cool picture. It was a picture up on Instagram of him and his dad, and he had BC gear on when he was like 8. It looked like. So it's really cool to see that he remembered positively the city of Boston and everything around it. He had lots of connections in the area, and he ended up committing to BC. You add him in with Jack Bailey, who committed. He's a 6'11", 6'10" power forward / center from New Jersey. And you have right now, and again, this is a snap in time, and I know it's not going to end that way. BC has the number 8 current. The current class is ranked number 8 on 247. Now, almost every blue chip recruit has not committed yet, so don't expect this to last. But both guys that they landed, Akbar Waheed is a 4-star. Bailey is a borderline 4-star, and they're going after a whole bunch of other 4-stars. So this class has the potential to be really good. And I look at, one thing that always worries me is that BC has in the past landed 4-star recruits, and it seems like most of them have flamed out hard. You look at like Jarris Hamilton, Prince of Ligby, even Donald Hand has taken a while to get going. They have not had the success with the blue chippers that they have. Now, I look at a guy like Waheed, and he's a little different because I've seen him. He seems much more polished to me. Like a lot of the guys that we've seen come in, they're like, either playing against bad opponents, or like with Prince of Ligby, he was on a team, he was on teams with like 5-star recruits. So he had a chance to like be really good because they were all focusing on the 5-star recruits. So I'm not as worried about a guy like Waheed flaming out. He seems like a perfect fit for Boston College. Like just listening to him talk and why he's excited about this program, he's like, this is a great get for Earl Grant. Like, again, like with the staff and the facilities I cannot undersell how important those have been in terms of recruiting of late. The Hogue practice facility is a game changer for BC basketball because it's something that first of all, they get to use it, which is amazing because it's gorgeous. But also, you get to have recruits see it as well. And these recruits are blown away by what they're seeing. It's really, really a nice facility. that puts them back into conversations with recruits that they never had the chance of before. I can tell you, I would guess that if they were still practicing in the power gym, a guy like Akbar Waheed wouldn't even look at them. But I think he probably, he may not say it, but he's seen the progress the program has made. And he actually did say that. He said Earl Grant's done a great job with the program. Um, so I see Waheed and I see a guy that this is the new norm for BC. Guys that they can get in here. He's not local, and I don't think a lot of local guys go here. And it's the same with football. And honestly, as I've said before, if they're good, I don't care. I don't. I don't. People fall in love with like the local stories because of like Doug Flutie and Bill Curley and stuff like that. But college sports has changed, and getting guys from Maryland, getting guys Jack Bailey's from New Jersey, that's fine. Now in our final segment, a new crystal ball is in for football. Lots of clues out there. I'll explain who it could be in just a moment. Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. If you guys want a second listen, like Locked On's such a great network to work for, I want to recommend Locked On Patriots. Locked On Patriots gives you a daily dose of New England Patriots football if you're a Pats fan like I am, and gets me all the knowledge I need for a team that's been changing drastically since the end of last year. I mean, Belichick's gone, right? Get on to Locked On Boston, Locked On Patriots on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, on Tuesday, if you guys follow Spencer Dickow, who's the general manager for BC football, you would have seen his "We got another one" tweet. I follow him, even as someone who covers a team. It's usually my bat signal to start, doing my work. And they landed another commitment. Now they haven't announced who it is yet. It's still silent right now, but there's somebody in. Now the staff, sometimes they're pretty guarded about things. They'll say, "Yay, we got one," and no hints. But recently, they've been very clear. Like if you read the tea leaves, it's not hard to figure out who it is. Ray Brown put up something about Cali to Boston connection. So that piece, if you're following along with official visitors that have been around, would give you two different names. It would be either Cameron Brown, defensive end from Norco, California, or Stevie Amar, who from Oaks Christian, who's a tight end. So you have either a defensive end or a tight end. That gives you one hint of who it could be. Then I think it might have been Ray Brown again. It might have been another coach. Put up something about Will Long, who's the tight ends coach, dancing around and doing, happy dance about a recruit coming in. So just using those clues, you could probably figure out who this is. So that's why I put in a crystal ball for Stevie Amar to commit to BC. This would be an excellent second. Like their tight end commitment group is, if it's Amar, is in great shape. Like Bryce Lewis is a 6'6", 6'7" tight end. Great size, good athlete. Obviously, he's connected to the program. He's going to be a great weapon for BC for years to come. Amar is a little bit a little smaller, 6'4", but listen to his. I mean, both of these guys had good offers list, Bryce Lewis and Stevie Amar. Stevie Amar was down to BYU, Baylor, Boston College, Arizona State. He had a big time offer list. He's only rated an 86, but his offer list dictates him. I would think he would get more. Good size, well thought of, obviously well recruited. Will Long has got himself two good tight ends, and hopefully this will be the case. Now, it could be Brown. Again, the tea leaves don't show me that, but that could be the case too. So that would be, I think, this is going to be commitment number 24, I think, for BC if it's Amar or whoever, regardless of who it is. It's going to be this class continues to be huge. he's building a monster recruiting class, and it's not done yet. So one other quick note too, like as they get bigger and bigger, I still expect they're going to probably go for some more offensive linemen. I think they're going to still go after another edge. I don't expect them to go after another quarterback. I think Shaker Razig is going to be the only quarterback in this class. I've heard from sources that that's probably going to be the case, unless there's someone who like wows them to the point where they got to get him. But I think that's going to be a case by case basis. So 24 kids in this class, big one so far, and it's only July. Of course, there's going to probably be more news. It's going to either be, maybe there'll be a decommitment or flip here or there. That's just the nature of the beast, right? Well, when we find out who this is, we'll have it covered here completely on Locked On BC. You guys know. Go to some of my previous episodes. I've been all over every single recruiting, get, commitment, official visit season. I've had it all. Go back into the archives, check out the previous episodes. Then if you're not, if like you were away, say you went to the Cape for 2 weeks and have not listened to a Locked On BC, first of all, shame on you. I should be on in the Cape all the time. I'm just kidding. But go back, listen to them. Like, get yourself caught up in all the news that's been going on, because it's right now it's all evergreen. All the recruiting stuff, if you don't know it, it's all fresh to you. So go back and check out some of the previous episodes. Hear my thoughts on some of the other commitments like Shaker Razig or Corin Brown, Berry, the other quarterback from class of 2026. Got tons of stuff. Just go in the archives, check them all out. Give us a like too on your podcast or wherever you get your apps. And we'll be back again tomorrow. We're doing this 5 days a week here at Locked On BC because we are just 4 days away from the start of ACC kickoff. And that means we're sprinting to the end. We're almost back to college football. I'm going to go back and play some more NCAA 25. I tell you that right now. But we're doing everything else to get ready for the real season coming up. So make sure to follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Get your news over at Eagle Insider. Right now, you can get a subscription. You can get our free stuff. Join the message board. It's all there. Hopefully, I'll see you there too. Thank you all, and we'll see you all again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.